Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has been hosting an e-policing roundtable at the Noordgesig Primary School in Soweto. Katleho Sekhotho is standing by. Katleho, very good afternoon. Just bring us up to speed with what's transpired during the course of the day.
That's right, Hugo. We heard really in-depth, comprehensive outlining by SAPS officials as well as the Premier himself, Mr. Panyaza Lesufi, about government's interventions in trying to roll out this e-policing campaign. And what it comprises of is sophisticated technology in rooting out crime, rooting out vandalism and corruption, firearm tracking, as well as tracking stolen vehicles on the roads by installing cameras on the sides of the roads. But to give us more on this, and I'm joined by guests now, two members from the Gauteng Police Board, who can explain further for us how they feel about e-policing in the province. Can you just tell us what we've heard from the Premier today? Is it a comprehensive outlining of how e-policing will work, and are you happy about this?
Yeah, we are from the Gauteng Provincial Police Board. We're the community structure that's responsible for managing all the Gauteng CPFs across Gauteng, 144 stations. And we're quite excited about the initiative, and we are also a role player in terms of community policing. So our role is we have a number of technology projects that the Provincial Police Board is driving, and one of those projects is the provincial JOC, the district JOCs, and all the station JOCs, which will work with police and other stakeholders in terms of early community intelligence as well as crime fighting from the community perspective. Yep.
And I guess as a group, as an organization, one of the questions is, how does government fund this? Do you see yourselves as community forum groups playing a pivotal role as well in this important campaign?
Yes, ma'am, we definitely are. I mean, as community members, as technology experts, and as people who live in Gauteng, we play an important role in what happens in the province, in our safety and that sort of thing. One of the projects as a pilot is our Joburg North Trio project, where we have technology experts within the CPFs themselves who come together. We all work together with SAPS officials in our district to actually analyze, use the technology we have access to. We analyze information, crime statistics, movements, that sort of thing, and actually help the police do their jobs better with the information we can provide and with the tools we can provide.
I mean, yeah, one of the biggest things is the collaboration between government and community policing forums, and how sometimes there's a gap between the two. How can that gap be bridged, in your opinion?
Well, the important thing here is, like I was mentioning earlier, everyone has expertise in so many different things that coming together and helping the police and the government and what we all know, the little bit we all know, actually helps strengthen what everyone can do, the little bit that everyone can do to make a difference for everyone that lives and works and commutes through Gauteng. Essentially, we're all here to make Gauteng a safer place for everyone.
We heard from Police Minister Katleho yesterday those crime statistics, very grim numbers, but those were national numbers. But from a community perspective, what have you observed in terms of what's lacking in terms of how police are responding within communities?
So one of the roles of the CPF is not just enablement and partnership in terms of community policing, it's oversight. So what we pay attention to is we pay attention to the crime pattern analysis and the statistics, and we observe and monitor operational effectiveness of police. We look at the deployments, we look at their numbers, but what's important is the community, our eyes and ears. So we get intelligence from the community, we work with our law enforcement officials, and ultimately the JOCs that we are creating will link up into the Gauteng War Room, which is the provincial project. So the whole idea is there's a lot of silos of effort, and the JOCs and these technology projects basically orchestrate them together. We have single points of communication, and we have intelligence that's working together with each other, so we can predict some of these crime patterns and predict some of the crimes. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So there you've heard it, Hugo, really community policing forum groups explaining how they play a role in the community in stamping out crime. But really what we heard here today is really the use of government using technology in advancing this campaign, in rooting out crime, in finding illegal firearms, and in addressing those grim statistics that we saw come out from the police ministry yesterday, outlined by Police Minister Bheki Cele. So that's what we're having here today.
This has been described as an e-policing roundtable, so I'd imagine that there were many parties that were privy to the conversations that are going on. What are some of the other parties? Let's talk about the communities themselves, for instance. What are their concerns? Many would seem obvious, but what are some of the issues that were raised?
Yes, so one of the important things that came out of this roundtable was government's collaboration with private sector. So we saw a number of companies here, private security companies, and I think that's where government is saying we need the help of private sector in order to fund this. So it's not just government trying to do it on its own. We did see MEC Faith Mazibuko from Community Safety accompanying the Premier, but it was really a very clear banding together by government and private sector because some of these technologies are expensive. Some of these technologies are inaccessible by government alone. And that's where you have private sector really coming in and playing an important role in stamping out crime.
Now, when news of AKA's death broke a few days ago, Premier Panyaza Lesufi was one of those individuals who spoke out around gun violence. In fact, one of the things that he says is that we may be losing the battle to gun violence. Was this one of the issues that he addressed, or was it discussed at all in the forum?
Yes, he did. He definitely touched on the killing of AKA and how illegal firearms are rampant within communities. One of the companies here actually presented a firearm tracking operation, which basically tracks specifically firearms belonging to police officials. So when you have gender-based violence cases within homes, this operation basically can register when a police officer has unhalted a firearm, for example, or when they've shot with their firearm. That sends an alert to this company, and therefore that's their way to figure out when police officers are using firearms when they shouldn't. But the Premier did kind of touch on rooting out and clamping out on illegal firearms that are rampant within communities. But like he says, it has to be a collaboration, not just between government departments, but as well as with private sector.
Katleho Sekhotho coming to us on the back of Premier Panyaza Lesufi's e-policing roundtable. Appreciate your time this afternoon.